setting the stage perfectly in his conclusion that TV remains king for our next panel, The Future of TV. I'd like to invite up to the stage our moderator, Fawzi Rahal, Regional Digital Director of Gray Mina. Thank you.
We are gathered here today to talk about the future of television. We're not going to talk about what's going to happen in 10 years, because clearly that's something that's a little too far, but we're going to talk about what's going to be affecting us for the next couple of years in terms of how TV is affecting us and how TV is going to be consumed later on. We know very well that the way or youth at least, is watching TV these days is completely different from the way adults do or the way it was watched about 10 years ago. We know that consumption of a lot of web content is on the rise. There's a lot of hardware and smart TVs that are out there, from the Google Android-powered televisions or the Google Box or Apple TVs, that are allowing users to experience content in different ways. Clearly, social media and videos go hand in hand, and there's a lot of content that's being consumed completely online, or content that's being created that is completely web-only. And with me is a huge and extremely varied panel today. I'm going to start by introducing them, and then we're going to talk about how each one of my panelists has been contributing towards this, and how, as content creators or as consumers as well, we can actually monetize this and focus on creating even more content, and how that can be taken a lot further. First panelist, Mr. Karim Dawood, CEO of Integral. Can you please tell us really quick what your involvement has been in empowering at least mobile entertainment or content in that perspective?
Sure. Just very quickly, as a background, Integral is a digital media solution provider to telecom operators. So in this panel, I'll be representing the telco's view on how they're empowering new media and making it possible here in the Middle East. In the specific case of television, it's all about IP television or over-the-top television, premium content delivered to customers over managed or unmanaged internet. But the key word there is we need to monetize this content. It's all about being able to make money. We saw this interesting piece of statistic where the users expect everything free on the internet. We want to give viable business models to all the people there on the value chain so that everybody makes money. But then the consumer has to pay, right? So it's all about this. A lot of experimentation. I'll be talking further down the line.
Great. We have Maris Thomas here with us. Maris is the CEO of Pokeware, which is a very interesting solution, allowing people to tag videos. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here today representing Pokeware. Pokeware is a software company that enables the monetization of video content, where content owners don't have to do any of the heavy lifting. We take video content on behalf of the content owner, and we process it in an automated way. And the software identifies every object in video. So from the consumer side, you don't really do anything different in your consumption experience, but whenever you watch a piece of video content on a connected TV, on a mobile phone, on the internet, and you see something of interest, you can just poke on the object and learn more about what you see. So it really is a tool for discovery, but in the process, we're being compared to search engines like Google and Bing, where instead of having to type in keywords for search, you poke on the object for search, and you can find more information. So we're being compared as to like the Google for video content. But on the back end, for not only the advertiser and the content owner, we provide real-time analytics so they can see how objects are performing in video.
We're going to get a little bit more insight on those analytics in a minute or two. We also have Wael Atili, CEO of Kharabish, with us, who doesn't have a mic.
Hello. Basically, my name is Wael Atili, and one of the co-founders of Kharabish. Kharabish is an online entertainment, is a native-born online entertainment network that is completely based on social media and YouTube. It started in 2008, and basically we have around 20 million views per month on YouTube so far, and we're targeting for more. And I would like so much to talk about the future of TV, because we believe that it's not going to be king for long.
Totally, and that's why we're here. Another content creator is well with us on the panel today, Mr. Abdullah Mando. He's CEO of Utron Entertainment.
Yes, U-Turn basically is very similar to Kharabish, but based in Saudi Arabia, Jeddah. We are a content creator and we create local, entertaining and responsible content solely for the internet. Basically, we feed mass platforms original content. And since we started, we reached to the point where we get at least 6 million views a month. We are very popular right now in the Saudi scene, and we started a very interesting trend in Saudi Arabia. A lot of content makers right now are implementing or doing copying sort of our model, and this is very healthy for the Saudi content creation industry. And hopefully, with the panelists here, we can take this industry to a new global level. We believe that what's happening right now in the Middle East and generally globally is very unique, where the Arab world, for once in a very, very long time, can become a leader in content making.
Thanks. And we also have Faris. Again, I can barely see you. Faris Aqad, he's the head of business development for digital at NBC Group. Faris, you've been working on a show recently that's very related to what we're talking about here. Is it working?
Oh, no. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so at NBC Group, obviously we're very interested in both the future of traditional TV, and we're very glad to hear that TV is still king. I'll have a job for a while, and also the new media aspects and how we can marry the two, both traditional TV and how it can interact with social, and how we migrate the experience from TV and expand it into whether it's catch-up TV, VOD, or social media platforms. And we actually have one experiment show that we started working on and was very successful, and we're trying to move that forward into a couple of other seasons where we increase the experience of the viewer beyond TV. I think it's pretty pioneering in the Middle East and even globally in this sense. We have a little, being media, we have a little clip, soundbite to show you about this. But our vision is to basically, whatever the platform is moving forward, to be there with our viewership.
Can we start by playing the video just so that we can set the scene and give you guys an idea of what we're talking about, and then we'll take the conversation further?
Youth represent nearly half of the MENA population. And post-Arab Spring, we're witnessing how Arab youth really want to be involved, engaged, and at the center of the conversations affecting and determining their future.
Our solution was to develop a multimedia drama, one that immersed itself into the highly social world of our audience and blurred the lines between fiction and reality. The pre-launch marketing set the tone for this transmedia experience with an intriguing teaser campaign. Audiences were directed to an interactive video that used elements from the series to come, introducing them to one of the central locations and a main cast member. And personal information pulled from the user's Facebook profile ensured that the experience remained unique. Intrigue continued to be built as users were led to further clues in the online space. Character social profiles, teaser films, sneak peeks of the series titles all left them wondering, what is 04? 2 weeks prior to the launch, NBC's new drama 04 was announced across television, print, and online, and a dedicated microsite went live, the first time for an Arab drama. The concept of transmedia was taken to a new level when fans and viewers began witnessing characters updating their social media profiles in real time while the show was airing. And their following was secured as they realized they could engage with them personally. Even when the show was off air, the lives of the characters, and not the actors, continued to spill over into the real world through daily updates and conversations across Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and Blogger. Just 3 weeks after going on air, the show and its characters had attracted over 10,000 online fans. In another first, 04 successfully integrated the concept of Google Hangouts into its wider transmedia strategy. An online contest gave fans the opportunity to interact live with a central character from the series, and the resulting video upload of the session attracted over 200,000 views in 48 hours. The transmedia campaign has been a substantive step forward in fulfilling NBC's objectives of deepening their relationship with the most influential target segment in the region. Currently employing 23 platforms to engage with this audience, 04 is a whole new way of experiencing television.
So I hope this explains generally what we're talking about here today. We're talking about being able to connect what's really being referred to as transmedia. It's no longer whether it's television or mobile or social media or any kind of platform, but it's how do you consume all of them together, how do you connect them together, and how do you more or less create a relationship between each other. We've seen this happening in the Western world a couple of years ago. We've had Top Chef doing this for about 3 seasons. Gossip Girl is also a very well-known show that also integrates social media with television. And it's great to know that this is actually finally happening here. Faris, can you tell us what have been the reactions so far? We've looked at some stats here, but generally speaking, comparing this show to any other show on NBC that's been running, what is the general impact of the show?
I mean, for us, it was really just an experiment, and to fully go digital with this, and it's been a great success. We have some really very interesting plans moving forward. We're going to integrate interaction, so a star on the show might receive an SMS, and then the audience receives the same SMS. We parallel plot, etc. But the great learning experience also from this was to take certain elements of this and plug it into some other shows, like sentiment measurement on social media, on some of our shows, whether it's Arab Idol or Arab's Got Talent. And we see how the audience is reacting to certain things, and we respond to that. For instance, in 04, we had an incident where we sell ads, and we were putting the ads in the cliffhangers, what we call like right around where there's a very climactic moment in the show. And the social media feedback was really kind of very adamantly against it, and we knocked out an ad spot to satisfy the audience and not to interrupt the experiment, the experience of the audience going forward. So that real-time reaction is a huge thing for us, where before we used to have to kind of wait to the end of the season, see the ratings, and react accordingly.
Excellent. I'm going to also keep this conversation geared towards content for a while and ask Wael Akili, what is your perception of how TV stations are now moving towards more or less your territory? I mean, you guys started there. They started clearly on television, and there's clearly a bit of a direction where everybody's trying to gain the most mainstream media. What is your perception of groups or TV networks creating web content?
Well, let me describe the theme now. After basically now we're seeing that there is a native-born kind of production and entertainment network that is being on the internet and mainly on YouTube, while we're seeing that some of the entertainment network on traditional TV are immigrating into web.
Yes.
So we have two kind of relations between the immigrant and the native, and somehow there is some sort of flirting between each other, we want to...
So the NBCs are the immigrants, as far as you're concerned?
Well, allow me to say that, because they originally traditionally from TV, but they are working on coming onto the web. Now, for me, I see the future of TV is moving into web. The experience of TV itself is going to stay as it is, because the TV screen and the whole experience of the TV is going to stay as the same, but more interactive and more connected to the social and to network. But in terms of economics, now if you open Arabsat, for example, you will find 700 satellite channels, and we only watch maximum 10 channels. And there is a lot of low-cost kind of channels. But even because they are low-cost, you are paying at least $100K per year just to get a transmission from to get a transmission on the satellite. While on the web YouTube is more becoming like an operating system and not a portal. It's really becoming an operating system for publishers to publish their work on it, and soon this concept is going to be enforced more and more. It's reliable. It introduced HD, and also it is introducing a viable business model, that is completely going to change the concept of media, because now in traditional media, advertising controls content, while on web, advertising is completely independent on content. So as content creator, we are completely free from the advertisers, So all of these factors is going to play a major role of, going to see a lot of TV station emigrating into web, because simply it is a zero-cost publishing channel. And why I'm saying zero-cost publishing channel, because, Arab region is targeted by media since 34, and the concept of people paying for content, I don't think it's going to work and never gonna work in the Arab region, because media in the Arab region, most of the media, are not profitable businesses. They are mainly funded by government or funded by businessmen or funded by somewhere else. It has agenda. The media in the Arab region has agenda, so a lot of money are being spent on media for non-profit reasons. So this is why you see a high quality content, broadcast into our media, but we don't pay for it. The concept of paying is not going to exist, and never. So there should be alternative business model than paying for content.
Okay, speaking of business models, Abdullah, what is your take on this? Clearly the consumers are looking for a lot of, audience looks and appreciates excellent production qualities. People like NBC and all the other productions, whether they're profitable or not, which is a debatable conversation here, are capable of securing these budgets. They have every single sponsor they can ask for. They're being able to monetize this during the standard model and integrate this online. So they're being able to produce content for audience online, whether it's as viral as what you guys are producing or not is not the question here, but we're talking about content in general now. So how do you see, what is your business model then in this case, and how do you see that you have an advantage over those networks?
Well, to answer your first question that you asked, Wael, I believe that it's a good sign when big networks are now interested in what internet content makers are doing. This is actually very good for the industry. Okay. And for the other question, I believe that what big networks cannot do and they need to work on is that they need to localize content. Big networks, they have, for them it's a profit business or not, they need to cater to a wider audience. For example, NBC, it's a pan-Arab network, and we focus more on the Saudi audience. So our audience are more interested in our content because it relates to them, it's more relevant. And this is what makes us unique. And the second point is technology. Technology really revolutionized the content business. Before, it was almost impossible to create a show or a film without without a very big budget. Right now, with a small camera phone, you can create a show that can go viral and get a lot of viewership. So the trick is to actually work on very, very low cost and have...
How does low cost get you good production of quality? That's what I'm trying to understand here. How is it that you guys are capable of competing against the monsters of the world like NBC and all the other networks?
Because right now content is redefined. It's no longer about the best cameras or the best actors or it's all about the ideas. And people, if you see on YouTube, most of the most viewed shows are of kittens and babies, and these are...
Yeah, but you're not going to be able to engage with the kitten on its Facebook profile page. What we're talking about here today is how do you bring everybody together?
Yes.
And how do you go and comment on this specific actor's profile page? How do you tweet and affect the direction of the show? How are you going to get those resources in place to be able to monitor what the audience wants from you so that you can engage them in all ways, apart from just watching a video online, that is very relevant. I mean, I'm trying to just see the difference here of who's trying to go into which direction, what is the best way of doing it.
Well, what NBC is doing is probably right now in new media is the right approach. You have to use the entire possible mass media networks in order to have viral content. But from our point of view, controlling cost and being very focused on local regions makes you competitive. It gives us the competitive edge, because when you understand the culture so much, it's very difficult for a mass network, a pan-Arab network, to actually compete in that territory.
So you believe your strength is in your independence and your understanding of the target audience?
Mainly, yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm just going to gear this conversation a bit towards Maris and ask you, have you worked with web content creators to tag their videos, or has it always been just mainstream networks?
Well, we typically work with highly trafficked video content that's monetizable, but if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to touch on a couple of things, because I think thus far we've heard some very legitimate points from everyone on stage. And when you look at the legacy stakeholders like NBC, who have a tremendous market share and a commitment from long-term advertisers historically, who feel comfortable in their decisions to offer content that's going to be highly visible, expose brands to new market share to get a larger footprint, but at the same time substantiate the cost of content production and distribution. And then you look at some of the newer stakeholders in the game, who are the independent content creators, who have found in many cases more traffic collectively than some of the bigger television networks. You have a disruption that is taking place that needs to be understood a little bit better and identify the connective tissue that's going to bring all of that together. So if you look at some of these content creators, they may see in many cases over the course of months more traffic than a television network, because they're offering something to an audience where we live in a world where in the past our parents would have to sit in front of the television, be in front of the TV at a specific time to watch the show they want. We're in a completely different world right now with more devices than ever that allow us from even here today to find a website that may offer a pirated version of a television show that may be available now before it even airs on television. So we live in an incredibly disruptive environment, and really the only solution is to have events like we have here today at ArabNet, to have the discussion about how are we going to support the creation of your fantastic content that you're both creating, right? You have a real audience participating, but to produce the content, there is a cost associated with it. Advertisers want to somehow get involved in many cases, but they only have the long-term relationship that they trust, and companies like Gray Advertising and other advertising companies provide them with the direction so they can get their product out. Now, we offer a different solution that doesn't cannibalize those solutions, but I think the most important thing that I took away from the first four speakers, my apologies, is that I think NBC did a great job in harnessing what I would characterize as the para-social relationships that people who go to social media sites like Facebook or share information via Twitter, when we look at the people who go to Facebook.com, and by the way, if you look at the number of relations that we would have, say in the morning when you wake up, right now people under 30 years old go to Facebook within the first hour, and they have social engagements with at least 20 people. And they're sharing content, they're sharing ideas, they're vouching for products that are on the market.
They're pirating movies.
They're getting access to content. And in those parasocial relationships, there are a lot of engagements, whereas our parents would maybe talk to 1 or 2 people in the first 6 hours of the day. The world is very different. And as part of that, people have a different parasocial relationship with the content they're consuming. So I'm actually working on a white paper right now because it affects our business specifically, but if you look at those engagements in the morning, and I don't want to take up too much time, but this is very relevant. If people are consuming video content and also sharing engagements with friends in the morning within that first hour, there's a cloudy way to identify what's reality and what's not. And we've recognized that when people watch reality programming and they talk to their friends who they never see in person, they're just talking to them via Facebook, there is this fuzziness where they equate some of those relationships with social media, with reality shows, and their friends as almost the same thing. So if someone on television recommends a product, say Kim Kardashian, an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, may recommend a product, and their friend also, who they trust, recommends a product, that has the same value. So for a commercial advertiser who's advertising on NBC, to the same consumer of video content who may be consuming your show, the world has changed in the value chain and the value exchange with advertising.
I totally agree with you, and what I'm trying to understand here is how is it that we can help content creators monetize their content in a way that doesn't, first of all, appear very similar to the traditional way, which clearly doesn't work the same way when it comes to online content creation, but at the same time also being fair towards helping them create more content. This is technically the entire objective of this panel, is to try to understand what is it the networks are doing, what are they doing right, and how is it that content creators like the guys from Kharabish and U-Turn can keep creating extremely rich content that is monetizable though somehow. And I mean, until today, generally the advertising that's happening with any of these platforms has been pre-roll videos. So how do you push that even further? How do you get brands to be able to collaborate with content creators, maybe even participate or create some kind of a participation between production companies like NBC and networks and those content creators to outsource the production to them, because clearly they are much more aware of how digital media works.
I think there's a tiered approach that can be taken by not only embracing new technologies, but having or incorporating a way where creators of highly trafficked video content can kind of plug and play into the relationships of some of the bigger television networks who may even offer a section on the website for highly trafficked video at like NBC.com potentially. This is an idea, where to have an area where highly trafficked video content in the social world can find a home in the traditional world and start examining, because in the digital space you can see what's performing and what's not.
That's true.
Very quickly. I think that's one solution. Certainly our solution doesn't cannibalize advertising as it stands. We're actually an additional solution. If I saw a handbag on a character in Gossip Girl, or a sconce on a wall, or a painting or a glass in an episode of Gossip Girl, or something in one of the shows that you create, we're a solution that works in both ways. You poke the object, you find it where you can get it. We generate a cost per click from the advertiser the same way Google generates revenue. That's one solution. I think there are several other solutions that exist in the digital space that can be easily adopted.
Sorry, let me move it back to the content creators here to see what their take on this is. Let's start with
first regarding how can you support us, or so, I don't think the question is how can you support us, because it's not about supporting us. The thing that we all need to realize that in the Arab world now we can create shows and brands and IPs that have fans and values and celebrities. Actually, we can create stardoms out of the internet without getting into TV. And this means value. This means you can create shows and products that have value that you can sell and license. And basically, this is what's happening. It's not a matter of, we want TV to help us or not. No, we're telling you that there is a new entertainment industry that is forming and is going to be strong and independent. And this is the fact that we should live and adopt. This is number one. Now, at the moment, now there is a relation between TV and web. And we're working on both benefits, at the current moment. Why? Previously, TV had to spend a lot of money, investing in shows that they don't know if it's going to succeed or not. Now, with the availability of internet, we're talking about low cost in terms of comparison of TV. Now we can create shows as many as we can, and we can experiment. We have room of experimentation, and if a show's failed, we're not going to lose much. But if a show's got successful, now it's for TV. They have the chance, oh, this is a successful show. Now we have a guaranteed show that we can acquire and work on. So this is the kind of relationship that we're talking about. But on the other hand, we started to see stars, we started to see celebrities, we started to see very funny, kind of brands and characters are being, known on the web, and this means value, so that I can sell license, product placement. I can, years ago I couldn't sell sponsorship for a web show. Now I can easily sell sponsorship for a web show without being on a TV. So this is the thing that we're talking about. This is the relation that we're talking about.
Excellent.
Just allow me. Yes, I'll be a bit more controversial here about this whole perception of linear TV, scheduled programming, or widely available with the discovery by the consumer. I think despite all these hype, and yes, I acknowledge the trends, linear TV as it is today is here to exist. I believe that the consumer likes someone else to make the choice for them. It's not a coincidence if you have the top 10 broadcasters that are watched regularly by very, very faithful audience. It is happening, and if you take worldwide, Deloitte made a study and said that in 2012, 95% of all the TV that is going to be watched is going to be linear, on schedule, or slightly delayed, because the catch-up feature is gaining momentum. So this whole thing about this word being dichotomic, I don't think is really realistic. Now, having said that, those new trends are happening. TV consumption is becoming richer, much more interactive. We're having now the tablet, the so-called second screen, enrich the core TV viewing experience with more interactivity. So this is happening. Now, the key question for us in the Middle East is, again, business model and monetization. And this is where I would disagree with you. I think we need each other. We need each other a lot. I think the telecom operators, the platform providers, by linking you guys, content players, with audiences and finding ways to plug in the advertisers together, taking advantage of the very local nature of what happens in specific market versus free-to-air satellite TV, this can be very powerful. And I see, hearing you talk, a lot of possible areas of cooperation when, let's say, a telecom operator in Saudi Arabia can offer an audience of 200,000 paying subscribers who pay a monthly fee. Well, yes, then there becomes a possibility to link all this content being created that is very local, that is very Saudi, to these audiences. And you start creating windows, a hybrid model where it's pay TV first, and then maybe it goes out ad-funded on the internet. There's plenty of models that we can jointly explore, I think.
I'd like to disagree with you, if I may.
Sorry, but before we get to that, we had Faris.
Just wanted to touch on kind of a little bit on the content that when we talk about content quality, and I'm a little bit with Kareem on this one. I mean, when we're all for the trend that's happening online, and we encourage it actually. It creates creativity and creates sources for us. Absolutely, we grab stars out of these channels and we give them their own TV shows, and it works great. But for every Kharabish on the internet, there's a million Charlie bit my finger. And for us, when we talk about premium content for the most part costs money to develop, whether it's production, special effects, whether it's we do a lot of historic series that take a lot of research. That just costs money. There's no way around it. We can be creative and do certain things, but that's a niche market.
But there's cost involved.
And it's cost a lot of money, and we need to recoup that money. And that's where the dilemma of monetization comes into play. So we can have a play like 04 and experiment with these things, but what people watch, if you look at the grid or the schedule for Ramadan, prime time for the Middle East, it's generally very traditional formats that have been in existence for probably the past 10 years. And if we try to push a very hip, innovative kind of show during Ramadan in our prime time, we hear about it. We hear about it from the 98% of the population who wants that comfortable, old feeling of what they're used to watch during that scene. And to be able to monetize that, we do have to go with the Pepsis, M&Ms, KFCs of the world who are willing to pay and want to pay for a certain format. So this model will continue to be the dilemma. And by the way, this is not just regional. This is on a worldwide basis. You look at how much premium content do you find on YouTube versus what you find on the major networks.
Faris, sorry to interrupt you. So clearly we have two directions here. We have one direction that's clearly saying that high quality production is required. Networks like you are clearly have a business plan. I'm not saying any one of you is going to go run out of business, but on the other hand, we have the entrepreneurial content creators who believe that they don't need you. And they don't need the telecom operators either. They're saying that they're capable of creating content that is engaging enough. They have the stats to prove it. I mean, they do. It's not a...
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm for that. I think they can to a certain scale, but, you know, when we're talking about mass audience, right, we have to talk about different scales. And absolutely, a lot of these guys will grow up to a certain scale. And our issue, and we invest and we've had this conversation off stage, we invest in a lot of these startups. The issue is when you talk about the tolerance of the average Middle Eastern viewer on how much of a ceiling they're willing to push when it comes to content. These guys, I watch them, they're great, you know, they're very interesting, and I think there's a very particular audience. We're slowly evolving that direction. The study before said, you know, what, 5–7% think the internet should be banned, right? So we're still there in some aspects of our society. So we have to be careful in terms of how quickly we're able to move into completely unmoderated, uncensored type of content. And some of them do a better job than others, but others are, it's a little bit of a gamble when you go with completely high
Would
ceiling
NBC accept a syndicated show, to syndicate a show, or to actually pay for a show that's been created by any of these content creators?
Absolutely.
And air it on TV?
You know, it would have, yeah, I mean, that would have no issue with that. It would have to depend, obviously, again, on the content, right?
Okay.
It's like we syndicate productions all the time, and we don't, it's not that we're trying to hamper creativity, but we are very in tune with the market and the tolerance of the market for certain things.
Okay, I'm just going to have Wael say his final words, and then we're going to open the questions
well,
to
basically,
the audience.
just to clear out something, we're not saying that premium content is not necessary, but what's happening right now with new media is that premium is being redefined. It's not just putting a lot of money into a project doesn't mean that it's premium content. I mean, for example, the clip we just saw from NBC, it could be very interesting to a lot of audience in the Arab world, but probably not the Saudi Arabia audience. So, so even if they spent a lot of money,
I mean, clearly the budget doesn't really define quality.
Exactly,
we understand that.
exactly. But another point is that when you talk about monetization, what's happening right now in the world is already a clear point that there is a new model for monetizing content through the internet. TV basically, like Wael said, the screen will stay the same, and it's going to become more interactive, but it will be hooked to the internet, not to a cable network or any traditional form.
So, sorry, I'm going to open up the questions to the panel. But
okay. But just to continue on this point, please.
Okay.
Sorry, I know. Well, basically, does it mean that we're against TV or mobile, or we create content, we want everybody to see it? The fact that what we're saying is that there is, let's say, a new disruptive model brought by YouTube. And actually, it's becoming, as I said, YouTube is becoming an operating system that is going to change how operators work and how basically TV is working. And regarding operator, 30% of our viewership on YouTube came from mobile. And YouTube is offered for free on mobile, so how can you ask people to pay on mobile while they can watch YouTube videos free on mobile? So YouTube is basically the dilemma, let's say, here.
Question of the day: how do consumers not pay for content, and how do telecoms make their money? With that note, there was a couple of Twitter feeds asking about Pokeware. Just show of hands, does everybody understand how Pokeware works? Who understands how Pokeware works? Wow, okay. Maris, real quick.
Sure. So from the consumer side, and we work in 3 different areas: in advertising, in content, and in software. But we're a software company. But our delivery tool is what I'll share with you. If you're watching any type of video content, whether it's a Premier League football game, an episode of Gossip Girl, or how to prepare a specific kind of food.
And you're watching this on your television screen?
On your connected TV.
Connected TV, so
on
smart
your
TVs.
Tablet.
Okay.
On your mobile phone.
So anything that actually has a touch interface or something you can click
Exactly.
on.
While you're watching, if you see something you like, you can actually just poke on that object. Whatever it is, you poke it, and then the search result of what that is will populate. So one search result. So if I watched a video of you and I wanted to know where your sweater was from, I could just poke the object and then I could find out whatever brand it is and how I could consume it if I wanted, whether e-commerce or find out where the local store is where I can purchase that item.
Great, thanks for that.
I hope that helps.
Questions?
Hi, my question is to the MBC person. You guys have Shahid.net, which is your portal online for watching video on demand. My question is, in the new sense of media and the new age of media, MBC censors TV shows. So what's my use of watching a TV show that you already bought from the States, like Alcatraz, where it's being aired censored on your website? I can easily download it off a torrent or watch it from another provider instead of watching censored media.
Sure, good question. First of all, you know, when we show the TV shows on Shahid.com, it's catch-up TV to what you see on NBC. So we pay digital rights for that. So that's legal viewing that we're giving for free. Torrent, as we all know, is pirated. Now, aside from that point, it's again, Shahid is catch-up TV for what you see on TV. If you wanted to see the original version, I mean, we all know if you turn on NBC, there are certain things that you will not see. And that's censorship. That is a strategy that we take with all of our shows. If you want to see the same type of content, you go to Shahid to watch it. A lot of parents might choose to do that. A lot of more, you know, conservative families might choose to do that. If you want to see the uncensored version, you have to get it directly from the studios. Again, this is not unique to this region. I worked many years in the US, and all the major you know, national channels in the US do the same thing. They censor the shows because we are free-to-air mass reach. So we have to appease the general population. If you buy subscription-based type of OSN or an HBO or Canal Plus, then you get the uncensored version. That just becomes an option.
Well, and Abdullah, do you censor your content, or do you at least adhere by the cultural restrictions?
This goes by understanding the culture. If you understand it very well, you'll be able to create content that caters to this culture.
What about you, Al?
Okay, we have self-censorship.
Yes, you do.
But in some areas that we believe that we don't want to add value, but we do.
All right, so you have the independent...
Yeah, my name is Manal Asad.
A bit louder, please.
My question is to Abdullah Mando. As U-Turn Entertainment is probably the most successful YouTube shows producer in Saudi Arabia, do you see TV in the future of shows such as La Yikthir, Ishali, and Al Tayr? And do you think that would affect the quality of this show's content? And how do you think it would affect the attitude of the online generation towards them? Do you think they would accept them to have them on traditional media, or they wouldn't? Thank you.
Well, the platform itself is very different. Generally, new media has a different format than traditional media, which specifically we're talking about TV. So it's made for new media, and I believe personally that I'm not sure it would be very successful on TV. And also, I think the audience, our audience, they spent most of their time on the internet. I'm not sure if they would actually watch it on TV. So I really don't think it would be very good for these shows to be on TV the way it is right now. But perhaps the same talents could create content for TV. This is possible. I hope not. I hope they stay in new media. But like I said, the content that we're creating right now are tailored for the YouTube screen. So, so it's like saying if you say a 24-episode series watched in a theater, do you think it would be very popular or not? Probably not, because it's made for TV, not for theater. So you, as an artist and a filmmaker, you always need to know your media and your audience.
All right. Questions? Oh, excellent. I think it was quite clear. All right, let's sum it up really quick. So, people like NBC and all the media production houses are actually creating content that is going across multiple media. We used 23 channels, social media channels last time for 04. And they believe that this is a test. Whether this is sustainable or not is something that we still have to see. What kind of technology is going to be out there that enables people like Pokeware to actually help them monetize this, whether e-commerce will help is up for anybody to know. So that's one kind of ambiguity that's going to be out there, and that's one part of the future of TV that we're very interested in. From another side, we have content creators from whether it's Saudi specific, like the guys from U-Turn, or whether it's the general Arabic content that is actually extremely viral, like the team at Kharabish have been creating, has also been attracting a lot of advertisers as well, so they've been able to monetize it. I'm sure it's also a matter of time for us to understand whether this is going to be their current, more or less, monetization plans, or whether there are other ways by which they'd like to expand, maybe team up with operators on helping them monetize this as well. And again, from the operator level, we have definitely the never-ending question of how do they end up being able to deliver content to the consumer, being able to monetize on it, but also help the consumer get the content that they need, and the consumer actually feels that it's worth paying for. And we have content enablers and technology enablers like what Maris is doing at Pokeware, who's really changing the way we preview things, adding one additional level to branded content or branding advertising, and enabling consumers to be able to get more information on everything by indexing videos out there. Maris, generally speaking, how many shows have you indexed so far?
Well, in short form video content, so mostly highlight video from Major League Baseball in America, NBA, Premier League games, how-to video content, so how to prepare a meal, or stuff on WebMD, thousands. We're now starting to get into the movie trailer space, so for the first time, movie trailers will be monetizable. So if you see a lipstick on Angelina Jolie, you can click on her lips and find out where it's from, or a car in a video. So lots of really cool things.
When are we going to see something in the Middle East?
Well, let's see. We just had this discussion earlier. How soon can we see that?
Exchanged looks. We think something's going on here.
We're talking about it.
We're talking about it right now.
Excellent.
I mean, I think what they're doing is very exciting, and this is something that can definitely liaise because for us, even digital today, a lot of it is an investment into this new media, and something like this that increases interactivity, brings the consumer closer to their stars and their shows, definitely is something very exciting.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, my panelists and the audience. Sorry we took so long for time.